a little bit of an activity. Oh, that's going to be nice. They're going to really love that shot. Anyway, great. Anyway, what I'd like to do is sort of start off with just a little activity to kind of get us thinking and, you know, kind of focused. And it'll also give you kind of a launching point for when you kind of tell us about you and what you do. Okay? So what I'd like you to do is take a moment and reflect about, you know, it could be a quote, a saying, a sentence, a mantra, but what is it that you feel that keeps coming back to you, like that motivates you in terms of your teaching or perhaps pursuing this degree or whatever it is, right? But what's sort of your power statement, right? And so I'll share mine. So, you know, I was lucky enough to have a principal for over 10 years who was just, you know, amazing. And so we actually had a mission. And that's sort of what my mantra has been. And this was literally our mission for our school for 10 years. And it was, we teach until they learn. And that was literally what I had on my desk. It was all over the building. So that's something that I keep with me, right? That still motivates me. We teach until they learn, right? Another one that's kind of one that I often use sometimes, like, you know, Martin Luther King quote, you know, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice, right? So that's something like that. So in that vein of whatever motivates you or whatever. So you have some stickies at your table. So get one of those. I have some Sharpies if you need it. I don't know if people bring writing utensils anymore, so I have them. But pass the stickies around. Sharpies are okay, so I'll grab out of the closet. And so take a few moments, no rush. But also be prepared to talk about why you picked this book. So that'll be kind of what I would launch your discussion. So it gives you something to kind of focus on when you're trying to introduce yourself. So take a few minutes to do that. Put your mantra, your quote, your saying, word. It can be whatever you want. And while you guys are doing that, I am going to add Jessica to our course. Yeah, that would be great, you know, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you so much. Let's see, what do I want to do? Manage. Yeah, you can just stick them right on your tablets or whatever. And then go ahead and pull one more sticky for yourself and leave it blank next to you. So you'll have one that you've just filled out, and then just go ahead and get yourself a blank one. God, this is so tiny. JMC. All right, so this is everybody like doing your stuff. I'll know you're done because you'll have it stuck on the back of your computer or somewhere where I can see it. If you need to pull it, you can pull it. Now, normally, you know, I'd probably ask everybody to do like a gallery walk, right? I'd ask y'all to get up and walk around, and you would ask yourself 2 questions, like, what do you like about that quote? And then a I wonder question, right? It's a great activity to do with kids, right? We don't have to be attached to these boxes all the time. So, all right, so I will go ahead and start. I kind of already said that, you know, this is sort of my mantra. We teach until they learn. I'm very wedded to do for and all of that philosophy. Like, you know, if we treated teaching like a residency or medicine, and like people, if we equated kids failing to people dying, like that's not allowable or happens in medicine because you would get fired and fight, but we don't. Anyway, so my goal always as a teacher is to make sure you get where you need to go. That's my job. My job is to, you know, scaffold you towards success, right? Let me just give you a couple of just things about me. I know I was in the military for a couple, several years. I was an air traffic controller. I've been telling people what to do for a long time. I have married to an amazing man named George. We have 2 cats, Izzy and Zorro. I like to run, and I won't share my secret talent or what it's in my video, and I'll explain more about that later. So there's one more thing that if you watch my video, you'll see what I also like to do. But before turning it over to you, I know that I have a couple of you have had before, right? And so I'm wondering, as part of sort of my introduction, I guess, in a way, I'm wondering if anybody's willing to kind of do like a, dear future student, like a couple things, like to make everybody else in the room feel better, because I know that you're gonna leave here. What I'm trying not to do this time is I don't want people leaving this meeting like terrified, because I can be very terrifying at first, because I'm like, do it this way, do it this way. So is there anyone here to be willing to say a couple of things about like, don't panic? Carlos.
Good afternoon. A couple of things that I would like to say is definitely don't panic. I think last semester, on the day that we were supposed to have like a Google Hangout chat, I was in a car accident. Unfortunately, I was okay. My car wasn't, but I missed the chat, so I kind of panicked, and I think I sent Dr. Irving an email and a tweet, and she relaxed me and said no worries at all. And from that day on, I enjoyed the class and enjoyed networking with my classmates. And one of the things that we were talking about before the class were the avatars. Those were very relaxing to me. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to have instructors over at Wake Tech to implement in their online classes. So I definitely look forward to the weekly avatars. And speaking of Wake Tech, one of my colleagues now.
Awesome.
You'll enjoy the class.
All right, good. Thank you for sharing that, Carlos. I appreciate it. So let's catch you up. We've done one little activity. You'll see a green sticky in front of it, or in front of you somewhere. We're just putting down like our mantras, that the statement or quote or sentence or whatever it is that kind of invigorates you in your teaching or in whatever it is that you do, that you kind of keep coming back to. And mine was my mission at the school I taught for 10 years was we teach until they learn, right? So something simple. So if you want to take a few moments to do that. So so thank you, Carlos. Does anybody else have anything to add? Like don't panic. Don't procrastinate. That's true. That's true.
Usually, in my experience in the last class, if you get going those first few weeks, you just build up such momentum that you're just moving right through the stuff, and it just gets easy for the last part. You're working just as hard, but it just doesn't seem like it.
Right. Yeah. I hope that's the case, and I certainly try to, leave room for working on projects. There's definitely some purposeful. It's very front-loaded. I mean, you're going to be like, this woman is crazy the first couple of units, But then I promise I take my foot off the gas pedal a little bit and understand that you need some time and space to actually work on the capstones that I want you to work on. So just so you know, like I taught for over 10 years in Wake County Public Separate School. I taught 6th through 8th grade standard course of study. What did I teach? Language arts. And can't tell that now. And then, I got nationally board certified, renewed, I have my master's in reading. I came to look and study, veteran teachers in terms of their use of technology and finished my doctorate here at the Friday Institute and pretty much been here ever since. My larger role, I want to go ahead and prepare you, is that I am a digital learning coach for the Friday Institute. So, half my position is here in the College of Ed, and then the other half is, come on in, welcome. Why don't you sit next to Jessica, and Jessica will hook you up. And I'm going to introduce Jessica, and Jessica, be prepared to go next, because you're next. What was I saying? I don't even know. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, okay, what did I do? Okay, so I taught, I came here, and I've been here ever since. Oh, digital learning coach, that's right. So you'll often see throughout the semester, you'll see that I'm in the field, right? Because tomorrow I'm going to Person County to do PD, right? So I lead schools and districts through year-long PD, where I lead their initiative, I create sustainability, and I actually deliver some of the PD for them. So those are days, you know how it is, it's like teaching, right? So I'm not going to be checking my email, I'm not, so don't get upset with me. Come on in, sit right here, Jessica will help you, set you up. So I say all that for a couple of different reasons. Is that I'm human too, right? And I think most of you have had me before. I'm like always on my email. I'm pretty fast with checking my email, but if I'm out in the field, then I'm obviously the people in front of me are going to get my attention that day, right? So I just ask for your forgiveness and your patience around that. But I usually try to set my email so that that gives you that warning. So if you get that in the field, then just means as soon as I can, I will get back to you, okay? The final thing that I want to say, and this is not really so much as much of an introduction, but I guess it goes along with my philosophy. You know, listen, like I said, I was in the classroom, I worked at a public separate school, you know, I've been there, did my master's during that time. I get it, right? Teaching is a full-time job, so I want you to first understand that first comes your family, right? And then your professional duties, and then this course, and in that order, right? Now, the only caveat to that is of course, is that things got to be due when they're due, right? And I would just ask that everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Yep, 514. Everything, it's okay. Everything is negotiable up until the due date, okay? So listen, if you start your week on Monday and it's testing or there's crazy department meetings or I don't know what they're going to do, replace Common Core with copy and paste NC State Common Core. Anyway, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. You know that. You know that on Monday, you know that on Tuesday, right? But when you start getting to a due date, and when I say the day, I mean, I'm not talking don't email me like a couple of hours before a due date. Let's be reasonable adults, right? If you give me a heads up that you're having a rough week or you need some kind of an extension, then let me know as soon as you know that, right? And then everything is fine, okay? But once the due date or even a couple of hours before the due date, which is midnight on Wednesdays for most things, like that's kind of too late. That just doesn't speak well. But if you let me know on Tuesday or Monday or Sunday or Saturday before it's due, then we don't have a problem. Does that seem fair? Right? And I mean, I don't know if anyone who's had me before has taken advantage of that, but I'm really, you know, I've had people who said that they fell asleep on their computer, you know, or the Tuesday before, and they just realized they weren't going to have time, or they just had a bunch of meetings or something. So just let me know, okay? All right. So here we go. I want to. Oh, we just keep dribbling in. It is 5:30, right?
No, it's
okay. Oh, is it crazy? All right, all right. Okay, so that's also why I just keep kind of talking, because these people keep coming in, and I don't want to get into the course before we get started. So Jessica, what I'm asking you to do is go ahead and help him, and then what I'd like to do is now for the new people that are in here, just so you know, that's probably a good thing. We are recording. I am recording. And this is live, and it's being recorded, and it will be shared in the course. So just know that. All of you have done, most of you have done this exercise. Is there anyone who would like to share their quote? I've shared my quote, and then tell us why that is important to you, and then whatever else you want to share. You don't have to share as much as me. I talk too much. So anybody want to start? Share their quote and tell us just a little bit about yourself as we get other people settled, and then we'll get right into the course after that. I will volunteer a victim you. Like, seriously, are you seriously going to treat me like my 7th graders? Seriously. I can wait you out. Thank you.
I just said be brave, because we have a lot of new stuff going on at Great Tech. We have redesigned our whole curriculum and combined 16-week English and reading courses together, smashed them together into one 8-week course.
Wow.
So that's all brand new. A lot of new technology stuff that Rose and I are working on together.
Good.
So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of change, and I'm trying to just be brave with it and not be afraid of it and be confident with it and enjoy it.
Good and great. And I think that's a great mantra for this class. But do tell us your name.
Maureen.
Maureen. Thank you. Just for other people. I know who you are, but just for these folks and everybody in the room. All right, Maureen, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Who else would like to go? Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Yes, please.
I'm Cassie Curtis, and I'm an MA student over in the English department here.
Oh, okay.
I'm a TA. This will be my first semester actually teaching this fall. My undergrad was teaching. I've done student teaching, but I've never been like an official IME instructor in the class. So I'm looking forward to that. Mine is more of a goal.
Yeah.
Effective practitioner, caring leader, and lifelong learner.
Like it.
To the point.
Sounds perfect. Thank you for that. Sounds like a Twitter. Sounds like a Twitter bio already, right? Boom. Done. All like E.E. Cummings, all done, right? Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. All right. See how harmless this is? Nobody's getting hurt. Thank you, Jessica. Jessica, I do want to now switch over to Jessica, only, because she's just mostly awesome sauce. But, so I do, as you guys, some of you heard in the hallway, I've had an opportunity to work with, I actually lead the professional development, like, as Jessica could talk about that. Like, I really do that, right? And I actually had the honor and privilege, and we're going to continue for another year. I don't know if you knew that, but at Cardinal Gibbons, right? So they actually came to us, and we did some work with them over the last year in helping build their staff's capacity for digital learning and teaching, right? Well, Cardinal Gibbons' loss is your gain and our gain because she is our teaching assistant for this course. So I'd like to introduce you to Jessica McCormick. But Jessica, please continue your introduction with your quote and anything else you think we should know.
I'm actually one of 2 Latin quotes. I see Carlos' quote over there too, but I taught Latin for 8 years in public school and in private school. And my quote is from Cicero, and it says, "No nobis solius nati sumus," we're not born for ourselves alone.
Nice.
And it's the Roman attitude towards learning. They thought that if you acquired information, you shouldn't just sit there and hoard it. It was your job to share it and to educate others. So I'm your TA for the course. I'm a master's student in the MS for Instructional Technology at NC State.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you. So between Jessica and I, hopefully on those days, I'll try to work with Jessica and give her those heads up on those. Like tomorrow, Jessica, tomorrow might be a good day. Like if you need something desperately tomorrow, emailing Jessica would probably be better, right? Because I'm going to be out if you need it right away, right? So we'll kind of share those duties, and feel free to CC us both, or if you have a specific question for me or a specific question for Jessica, she'll be sharing in some of the grading and some of the facilitating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're excited to have her, okay? All right, who would like to go next? Your quote and maybe a couple of things about you that you want to share. Yes, please.
My name is Sade, and this isn't actually Latin, but it's from Plutarch, and it's the mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. And so when I came across that, I kind of get this image of, not back in the old day, I meant, the teaching profession's always been wonderful, but, a great profession of service. But, you get these kind of dull images of teachers that are just kind of talking at you and just, cramming information and factoids into a child or student's head, and that's like no way to kind of inspire children or potential students as lifelong learners who are passionate about the act of learning or gaining knowledge for knowledge's sake. So I just kind of like that quote.
Thank you for sharing, Sade. I appreciate it. And Sade you guys have been with me for most of the time, right? And, Sade just got my email yesterday, and she made it here. So I think that's impressive, right? Seriously. When I emailed her just before I texted you, so it would make sense in her email.
Yeah.
So the first thing would be first.
It's last minute, but we're meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's impressive. So thanks for doing that. That's good. Kudos to you. All right, anyone else raring to go? Want to share their quote and maybe a little bit about you? I will volunteer victim you. Come on now.
So I'm
Thanks, Keith.
I'm a very recent graduate of NC State's Technology, Engineering, and Design Education program. So I've done student teaching, and I worked as a TA with students last year, but I've not worked in the field with student teaching.
Okay.
My educational quote that I chose, and I've heard it in a lot of different ways, and the one I found says it was a quote from Nelson Mandela, but don't quote me on that. It says, "Education is the most powerful tool you have to change the world." And that's kind of how I see my role as a teacher. Is you can only do so much on your own, but if you work with people around you and give them the tools they need to succeed on their own, then you can change the world. So.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, Keith. All right, who's next? Go. Volunteer victim. She knows I'll volunteer in a heartbeat. Yeah, I see you all like, this is a silly activity. Well, I don't care.
Learning can be fun. That's a quote by Sonny Bot.
I'm telling her. Go, Sonia.
I say this because I started out in education. My past life, I was doing apparel design, and I went to China and taught English. I got really into the education and the game side of it. Because when you teach language, it's so game oriented. It's a lot of memorization, and And that's how I got into the technology side of it, just realizing how many ways technology can make learning so much fun. Just not just gaming, but communication, interaction, and allowing students to create things of their own and lead us in certain ways. So learning can be fun, and technology really empowers us to make it fun.
Right. I challenge you to change that to learning is fun.
Right.
You know, because, you know, I think about it, you know, actually, you know, this is like, I'm not going to think of his name right now. Is it John Brown? But anyway, he just co-authored a book with some people. Anyway, there was a keynote. And, you know, and they were talking about, like, this whole idea of, like, you know, kids will get up on a Saturday morning and go to karate class for 8 hours, right? And you don't really have to cajole them or bug them, right? But they are learning when they go to karate class, and reason was because learning is fun, right? And it's engaging in kids in ways that seems like karate class, right? Because learning is actually fun. We don't have to make it fun. It is fun. But anyway, so I challenge you to up that quote. All right, but I wax on. But anyway, so who's next? Thanks, Sonia. Who's next? Who'd like to share their? Who would like to have me change their quote for them? It's really what we're up to. Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Myers, and I work at training school during Chapel Hill. I teach computer programming and maintain database systems for that. My quote is from John Wooden, and it's, "If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it again?" And,
Nice.
and his emphasis, I think, was on do it right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
For me, a lot of times it's, okay, now when will I have time to get back and do this right?
Right.
Schedule.
I hear you. Right. It's that whole measure twice, cut once kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Nice. I like that. And I think that's a good quote for the work that we do, right? I mean, sometimes working with technology is very front-loaded, right? It's a lot of gnashing of the teeth. Listen, I turned my classroom into a laptop, one-to-one laptop, you know, in my last 2 years of teaching when nobody else was doing it, so I was all alone. And I cried a lot. Like, you know, I lost stuff. Things didn't work. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, right? You know, go to sign in on the blog, and, oh, we don't know what our email passwords are. Oh, okay. Like, so, I mean, I've been there and done that, and it is. But sometimes, though, it is about trying to figure out how to do it right, and then leaving yourself that room to make it better and make it scalable, and don't have to do it with like every single lesson with every single kid, you know, like do one thing, one brick at a time, and then do that until it's perfect, right? Until you are happy with it. So thanks for that, Greg. Who wants to go next? Oh yes, please.
My name is David. Taught for 5 years in all different types of schools, inner city to private. But the quote I did is, if I'm going to teach, it's just something that I kind of go by. If I'm going to teach, I'm going to teach it well. Yeah. And that means it's really like a perfectionism that I have in the classroom. So I'm always open to new ideas, or I go to the internet, or games, or interactive things, or group work, whatever for the students to achieve it well, and master the material. And yeah, and that's one reason I'm doing these courses and this major, because I want to get better.
Right, sounds good. Thank you for sharing. I like that. Yeah, it reminds me of the Dufour. Are you guys familiar with Dufour, the PLC people, the married couple Dufour? PLNs, Dufour, Richard Dufour. Oh my God. Okay, it's been a long time since I've been in Wake County because it was like a big deal. Anyway, I mean, Dufours, like they are the ones who came in and you had to do like the tutorials in the middle of the day, and basically they're, you know, the quote that I have from them that I like a lot is, you know, some teachers believe, you know, they're done when they're done teaching. You know, I believe that, you know, I'm done when the students have learned, right? So it's that whole idea about perseverance and making sure that it actually lands, right, where it's supposed to. So, you guys don't know Richard Dufour and those guys? Oh gosh, I'm old. All right, who else wants to go? Who wants to share their quote and a little bit about yourself? I got you on there.
And for the last 2 years, I've been a teacher, and so it's a job change for me. In business world before I met my children. And my quote is just something that I made myself, and everyone learns differently. And there's so many different ways to learn. I really enjoyed the age. I work with like 4- and 5-year-olds, and I think if you can figure out some great things for them at that age, then we're setting them up with a good start. So the technology is a huge part of that. There's so many opportunities out there.
Fantastic. I love that. And you know what? I happen to be working on we write a lot of MOOCs here. I'll tell you all about them. There's a coaching one coming, which I think a lot of you would be very interested in taking, right? Especially if you see yourself getting this licensure and going on to actually be that support person in a school. So there's a coaching MOOC that I wrote, massive open online course, and then we're getting ready to write. We're in the process of writing a learning differences one. Like I've already written a lot of content. We have a big meeting this week, so as soon as we launch that, I think it's October 8th. Put that on your calendar. September 15th for the other one, but I'll put it out through the course. It's free. It's fun. It's really awesome stuff, right? Okay. Anyway, you can get CEUs, but that's enough for my plug. But that's something I think you would really. I'd love to get you in there just to get your eye on it, to be honest. All right. So thank you for that. Definitely, everyone learns differently, and I think we come at that not from a deficit approach. I mean, I think that's a strength-based approach. You find out how the way kids learn best, and then you try to design instruction that helps them do that, right? Instead of there's something wrong with them or getting them labeled. It's a strength-based approach, right? What do they do well, and how do we help them do that better? Who'd like to go? This table's awfully quiet. Yay! I just see how I just volunteered.
My name's Camilla. I don't have a quote.
That's okay.
I'm rarely speechless, but
well, my job is done. We're done for the night. Let's all go.
I'm somewhat speechless. If I had a quote, I think it would be from Mr. Rogers.
Oh, good. Do tell.
I think, in some ways, people always think he's old school, but he was actually an innovator. Mm-hmm. And he brought the whole idea of teaching to television.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that was his goal in life. That's what he wanted to use that medium. So, about myself, I currently recently started working for Measurement Incorporated in Durham, and we have a program that's used in North Carolina schools called NC Write, and it's used in other places as well, and it's an online program that teaches kids how to write better.
Nice.
Using formative assessment. I'm not directly involved in development of the product, but I feel like I need to understand certain principles better in order to better communicate with my clients, and perhaps influence some of the way that the program is developed or used. Before that, I was in higher ed marketing. I worked to market several institutions of higher ed, one of them being the Vanderbilt School of Education, Peabody College. And before that, I was an early internet worker and worked on large websites for Fortune 100 companies when they were just going online, doing the first iterations of e-commerce and that kind of thing. So I've managed large websites mostly. That's mostly my technology background, or been a project manager.
Okay, well, thank you, Camilla. Thank you for sharing. I think you will get a lot out of Richard Mayer's principles, I hope. And it's probably just stuff that you already know. That's what the beauty of this course, I think, is ECI514. It helps you put labels on stuff. It's like stuff that you knew in your brain, like why that works or why that doesn't work. You just didn't know what to call it. I mean, that's kind of what I think 514 helps you really do. It's just semantics. It helps you label stuff. And so you're like, oh, I get that. All right, thank you for sharing. All right, guys, got a couple more, and then we can get into the core. So the faster we go, and we can get to what you really are here for. Go right ahead.
I'm Marissa. I'm a TA in the Technology Education Department. My quote is super generic. It's just, you're never too old to stop learning. You're never too old to learn, sorry.
You're never too old to stop learning. I like that one better in some ways. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
And it's just, generic. I taught middle school, and then before coming back to school, and now I'm the TA. And just no matter what age group of students that you teach, I think it's very important for them to understand that concept and have that growth.
Yeah, I agree. And good for you, middle school. Ooh. Oh, well, thanks for sharing. All right, I know I just have a couple more. I think I have one at this table, and I have Carlos, right? So you guys fight it out. Duke it out. Ladies first.
You're right. And that's not really a quote. I'm going back to graduate school in the counselor education to be school counselor in early middle school adolescents. And
I'm just real big on diversity, and that all children do learn differently.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find that learning style, and that's hard with resources and stuff. And you know, I just believe that if I have a child on the spectrum, and very smart, but he learns differently than a neurotypical child.
Right.
And you know, it's just one of those things I believe that I guess my quote is you may be different, but you're not less than.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't address various issues like behavioral, environmental, or delays or whatever, then the child's not able to really learn and focus and maximize their potential of their social, academic, and career development.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, I agree. Nice. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. And like, kind of who started us out? Who's going to end us? Carlos. Tell us about your quote and a little bit about. You kind of did share a little bit, but tell us a little bit more.
I'm Carlos McCormick, and we were talking just earlier about Latin, so I thought of Carpe Diem. Seize the day, and I just try to live by that mantra, because every day is a blessing for me, so I try to take full advantage of that. Then I also put an opportunity in every step of my life. Somebody's giving me an opportunity, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy working up here at Wake Tech, because we give each and everybody an opportunity. We have open admission at the college, so we don't turn you away if you don't score a certain score on a GRE from a grouping. So we have support areas that help every student. So I always try to give people an opportunity.
Nice. Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, he's going to be your warm, fuzzy guy in the course. I can tell you that. He's very, very, very nice. All right. So, you guys ready to dig in a little bit? Everybody gotten to ncsu.wolfware.whatever. Okay. I just want to reiterate, just in case, so people who were late, and then just in case, and if you already heard it, you can just tell me. But again, I just want to remind you that the priorities in terms of this class are your family, your professional duties, and then this course, right? But just please take some personal responsibility. If you need a little extra time, then just let me know as soon as you can. Everything is negotiable before due dates. Okay? You guys ready to dig in? Yes? Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to screencast, and that's what I'm recording, what I just switched over, just in case you didn't know. You can screencast from a Google Hangout. So actually, what I'm recording now is my screen, right? So they are going to actually see the screen as I move through this course. Let's see if it's actually working. Yeah. Oh, I actually have to share. That would be good. That would have been funny if I hadn't done that. All right. All right, so here we go. So we're at the course. For some of you, it looks very typical. How many of you guys, this is not a typical way a Moodle would look like to you or in your experience, right? It's usually like 10 stories high with topic and topic. Okay, that's the first thing you need to know, is that I like to have fun and have a little bit of instructional design going on myself. So basically, the way that I'm using this is I'm using the social forum, the social format of a Moodle, right? Because I believe community is king, right? I believe that most of the learning and how most of you are going to get your questions answered and the help that you need and celebrate and elevate each other is going to be right in the middle of that course, right? So if you have a question, or you want to say, I did 100 jumping jacks today, or here's a great video I found, or I cannot find this, and Lisa Hervey is not responding to my emails. Don't say that, but you can if you want. But my point is that you may have a question that certainly I mean, I don't know everything, obviously, but like, if I just don't get to the social forum and somebody else in this room knows the answer to the question, it doesn't have to be me answering the question all the time, right? Like, so ask your questions, celebrate, elevate. But do check this out, because I do put things in there. I will never use this like to give you directions or any, like, you know what I mean, like any kind of critical scaffolding that I need to do to the whole group. I would never put it in here, right? I would put it in the course announcement, right? Or I would send it on Remind 101, okay? So those are basically the 3 avenues of community, right? Is the course announcements, which unfortunately are just one directed. They go to your email, and they're just me saying, do this, or this is happening. I try not to use that too much, but I know that you guys stop reading, right? Hence the Remind 101. So I will also not use that overly, you know. I will kind of do it a little bit at first to kind of remind you about some key days, get you in that rhythm, and then I'll kind of gradually back off on those. But I won't just use them to, like, you know, tap you over the head. You know, I will also hopefully send things that will make your day and make you feel like smiling. Yeah. Yeah, it's the type you can have it sent to your email too. So, and here's the beauty about this. So I've got your back all the way. So let's say, like, so I try to model most of the tools I model in here are stuff I just think you should be using, right? So yeah, so what about that kid? So I have the widget here, right? So what about that kid that doesn't have a smartphone? Well, then you would embed that Remind 101 widget into your website, class website, and then you would tell that kid privately, like, you just need to check out the Remind 101s, right? So I got you covered no matter what. So if you either have it come to your email or you have it come to your text or you just decided to ignore that email of mine, whichever, you still have it here. So there's no, you're still going to get it. It's not going to be as effective because obviously I want you to pick up that phone. So what we know is kids will pick up that phone before they'll check their email, right? Okay. So, and then you'll know I have this Voki. I think Carlos was talking about this. I will change this out every week. You'll know because I will have a different bunch of clothing on and I will be somewhere different. And I will also change the name of the message. And that one's mostly just like, hey, this week, you know, kind of an overview of like the week to kind of remind you again, like, what are you going to be doing this week? Does anybody have it? Ah, stop. Wait. What browser are you on? Okay, and it's not showing up.
I also had to click it, and then it came up.
Okay, that's weird, unless I'm hiding it or something. Well, that makes me feel, oh, first of all, let me turn editing off. Yeah, some of you see it. That's so weird. Okay, a couple different things. So good, stop. Let's stop there for a second. Ready? For those of you that are using mobile devices, and if you intend on moving mobile devices to do this course, totally fine. I teach a mobile learning course. I would, though, highly recommend that you get an app called Puffin, Puffin, and it's a browser for the iPad that shows Flash. I didn't see my own Voki and Moodle on an iPad until like 2 years ago when I got Puffin. I was like, oh, that's what that looks like on an iPad. For you two, I'm not sure. I'll have to sort of problem solve that. I'm not sure. Let me also do something else. Let me just double check. Let me switch my role to student role. That might be good too for you all to see it this way so you don't see all of my craziness. And let's see if it stays. Yeah, you're probably not going to see it on a phone. Yeah, a phone's going to be really hard. But you can still, it's on an iPhone, you can still get Puffin on that. But, you know, it's not as much of you following along on that today. You can just watch me here or look on Jessica's. I can try to problem solve that. I'm not sure why that is, but most of you are seeing it, right? Okay, I'm not sure. It might be that you have to download Flash. I mean, it's obviously something that's localized to you.
When I refresh it, it shows it for a second.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not sure. Let me just edit it really. Oops, no, I just got rid of it completely. All right. Well, we can problem solve that. I'm not sure why that is, but you do need to email me about that. I would try another browser, but it's got to be something localized for you, right? So come to that because that is kind of important. I mean, they are kind of important. But anyway, I wanted to show you a couple other things. I do have some RSS feeds. Like if you know when you have that extra time to do some reading, or if you want to pull on some other resources these are some of the things that I like to follow on my RSS. So those are just down there for your own edification. You don't have to do anything. And then of course this forum will grow and grow just like a blog. The latest entry will be on the very top. And then it will grow and grow and grow and fill in that middle space, and then they will go onto a back page as they get bigger and bigger. So the main navigation is going to be right here on your left-hand nav bar, right? Everybody does see that, right? You do see this. Do you see my pictures? Do you guys see the little icons? Okay, good. All right, so a couple different things. Just so you know, I write all of my content on Google Docs. So basically, almost everything is linked to a published Google Doc, okay? But I don't take you outside of the Moodle, right? So what happens is you'll click on anything that's blue, right? Anything that's blue is a link. And so for some reason this did take you out of the course. I'll have to look at that one. But anyway, everything is here. There's my information, Jessica's information, and all the great stuff about this course. This course is broken into 7 units, so we're going to run 2 weeks at a time. 2 weeks at a time. This first little bit, this week until Friday, just consider that orientation, right? And we'll start our weeks, or our units will start on Monday, August 25th, okay? Let me be clear. Everything runs in 2 weeks. You can read the syllabus later when you're on your own. I will know that you read the syllabus because there's something in there for you to do. So I'll know who read it and who didn't. So let's just take a look. So this is orientation. Let me come back to orientation. Let me just give you a basic layout really fast so you can get, well, I'm just talking about the course in general. So 2 weeks, right? But obviously in each week there's going to be two pieces, right? I always give you an overview. Some of you may still want to print. That's totally fine. If I had to print anything in my course, this is what I print, because it's just sort of an at-a-glance, what are you doing this week, this unit, for these 2 weeks? Okay? Make sense so far? And then what will happen is I'll give you all the directions that you need for this week right here, and it's going to be slow, maybe it's not going to work at all. But you can see that you're still in the Moodle here. You can either use your back button or you can lower this and use your cookies. It's up to you, right? Or crumbs or whatever you call them. I call them cookies. They're not cookies, they're crumbs. But anyway, anything that you see that's linked is going to be, I'll always have your textbook listed as the very first required thing, and I will tell you in orange what is required to read. And then you'll have all of these links. Some of these might be to websites, to videos, to blogs, to Edutopia, to Teach Thought. Some of them will be research academic based, right? You'll see that this says required, and then I don't think I have any optional for the first one. And if you click on something, most of the time it's going to open right on up to the PDF, and then you can do with it from there what you want, right? You can download it, open it, save it to your drive, do whatever you want to do, put it in your Notability, whatever. If it's like a video or something, like if it doesn't work, like if you click on it and you can see the little hand turns, but you click on it and nothing happens, clicking on it more probably won't be very helpful. But what you then do is you right-click, right? Oops, I'm trying to get it to right-click. You right-click on something and you say open in a new tab, okay? So I'm just going to tell you that most everything should, but sometimes like YouTube and some sites just don't talk to Moodle very well. So it just sits there and spins. But what I'm telling you is that, oops, I didn't want to do that. That's that. I just opened it up. I'm just telling you, everything that's listed by this icon, read and view, all of this is linked to something. If it doesn't work on the first click, then you must right-click. Everybody clear about that? And I can't tell you randomly which ones they are. Most of the PDFs are fine. It's usually video. It's usually YouTube. It just will not go to YouTube for some reason. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the definition of required. Let's talk. So, those of you who are in my class are smiling or grinning right now because they know exactly what that means. That means I'm not joking. Like, I'm not at all kidding when I say they're required. When I have this opportunity, I do not get to have an opportunity to have a 3-hour class with you every week and unpack your reading, which would be the very first thing that we would do. We would have a conversation. I would be checking in, doing some formative assessments, and checking in on how you synthesized and applied the readings. I don't have that opportunity in an online course. So I'm going to use the forums, another tool that I'm going to talk about in just a minute called Flipgrid, but I'll get there. That's my opportunity to really expect you to do some graduate level work, which means that you are required to read all of these things. You will respond in the forum using APA. That means that if you quote, paraphrase, or borrow a quote from any of these readings, then you need to cite that. That means that all materials must be referenced. Listen, I don't think that you're going to love everything that I have you read. Then just tell me that, though. Don't just ignore it because you are like, oh, I didn't really like that blog, or I didn't really get it, I wasn't into that video. Then tell me why. Like, that can be in your forum response. Like, I read the Straub article, and I didn't really like this part, and here's why. Right? But to ignore it or to leave it out of your forum is not going to happen. Okay? Any of my previous people have anything they want to say about that, about how serious I'm about that? Okay? So you can go ahead, and if you're taking little notes right now, or if you want to open up another tab, your best bet is APA OWL. Just Google APA OWL Purdue. Literally just about got me through my dissertation, except for tables and figures. I had to buy the book. But, and the other thing is that I will give you immediate feedback. Those of you who had me in summer, like, I will give you immediate feedback to your forum, where my job is to scaffold you. If for some reason you don't earn all your points in the first forum, or any forum, or on anything we do in this course, there is always an opportunity to resubmit. My job is to make sure you are successful, not penalize you. So if you get a grade that you're not happy with, that's not the end of the world. I will probably have given you a lot of feedback that will tell you how to make that better, or what it is that I'm looking for. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. Any questions about required? One more thing I want to say about APA and your forum responses. A couple different things. One, I would create them in Google Docs or Word doc or whatever. I would not create them in the editing WYSIWYG. You're going to lose it. And besides, are you really going to craft your response after I just told you what I told you in your editing box? No, you're going to want to craft that response, walk away from it, take the kids to soccer, have a meal. You want to work with that piece for a couple of days before you actually copy and paste it into the forum. The thing about APA is this. What you're doing is you're either quoting, you're actually taking a direct quote, or you're paraphrasing, or you're saying, according to Meyer, blah, 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 right? 2009, I think it is, 2012. Anyway, you're going to give them credit, but here's what I don't want, right? I don't want a litany of quotes and paraphrasing. Anytime you quote someone, the very next sentence should be what you think in your language. So really, I'm not interested in looking at paragraphs that end with a citation. So you end quoting someone else and then you never tell me the so what of that. That's your transition sentence. Like, every time you quote or refer to something, then tell me, what does that mean to you? Do you like it, hate it? How does it reflect in what your experience has been? How does that really work with kids? Like, whatever it is that you think about that, then you have to say it in the next sentence. Does that make sense? That is what graduate work is like. Synthesizing, applying, making it your own, right? Tell me what you're going to tell me, and then tell me what you told me. But okay, so I'm going to tell you, if I see paragraphs that, I say this every time, and sure enough, that first forum, I get tons of them with the paragraphs ending in citations, and I just don't understand that. Like, why would you end a paragraph with somebody else's work? Why would you end your whole forum with somebody else's work? Like, the last statement should be yours, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what you think about it. I already know what they said. I picked the articles. I've read the book. I know what they say. What do you think? Why did you pull that quote? What does it mean? Okay? Questions or concerns? Yes, ma'am.
This is kind of technical because I don't use Kindle normally, but I did buy the
good question. Yes.
Kindle. Is there any way to take notes in Kindle?
You can take notes. Like, you can. There is a way. Like, if you hold over, if you push and hold the little note, and you can choose to put a note in there. So yes, you can.
Okay, like
I actually,
sticky note.
yeah, it would be like a little sticky note, and then in that document, you'll be able to look at all your notes. Okay. But on that note, one of the first things I'll do before you guys get into your forums next week is I will put a reference in there for how you reference the Kindle. So for those of you using Kindle, there is actually some APA guidelines around that. So I'll put that in the social forum. I actually should put it in the directions. I just keep forgetting to do that. Okay? But I will support you. But APA-AL is your first bet. And let me be honest with you. Like, this isn't like Lisa Hervey's rule. For those of you that, like, I don't like APA, well, it's the graduate school. Like, I'm sorry. That is the adopted school of thought that we're going with. And I'm a stickler for it. I don't ask you to do a lot of APA, but when I do, I mean it. Okay? So I always have your questions right here by the little discuss people. They will reappear in the forum themselves or in the Flipgrid themselves. I'll talk what a Flipgrid is in a minute. And then you have your rubric right there, right? And I think it's pretty clear. Your original forum post made specific, clear, and consistent references using a correct APA and synthesis connection application to reading websites, videos, and other multimedia from this week. If I have to put the word required in there, I will, if that makes that more clear. But I mean that you will talk about all of these things. However, and if you hate it, tell me that. That's fine. Like, I'm not interested in you loving it. If you didn't like it, then tell me why you didn't like it. It's fine. Okay, so that is how that's like week one. That's how basic directions work. And then, of course, then you would go to that forum. And then you would have read, you've constructed your answer, you've put it in APA, you're going like this because, like, I don't know if this is what she wants. Then there are your questions, and then you're going to put that in, you're going to paste your answer into the form once you push add new discussion topic, and then of course you're going to go back and reply to colleagues. But let me go back to that rubric and let's talk about something really fast so that we're clear. So I've already said that units run 2 weeks, right? But the way that each week runs in my course is Monday through Friday. You have weekends off. Congratulations. Okay, but the reason I do that is because just like in not real graduate school, but like when you had to go to class, you had to work the weekend before. So what I'm trying to do is let you be loose on the weekends so that you can work ahead, right? So I would say you should start working on week 1 stuff right now if the course is open to you. Because I run a Monday through Friday scenario, everything is due on Wednesday. It doesn't leave you a lot of time, so that pretty much forces you to work ahead and work on the weekend ahead so that you have it ready to go by Wednesday. The reason I do that is because I need to leave room to make sure that everybody's put in their original thoughts so that people have time to respond to your thoughts. So if you wait till Friday, then there's no room to respond. Does that make sense? I'm getting some perplexed looks. Questions? Does that make sense?
I always have this
Okay, all right. I'm just checking in. I'm working on reading my audience.
So, yeah, you want to post, like...
Anytime before that Wednesday of that week. You can post anytime you want.
Preferably so.
No, I don't prefer. It is Wednesday. You have to post by Wednesday of every week, or whatever you turn in has to be is due on Wednesdays.
Right, right. I'm saying, I guess the following week, what we're working on, like, for, okay, so you post on Wednesday, and then you talk about, and then there's...
And then Thursday through Friday, you're commenting, or all week long, you can be commenting, right? Okay, so that's good, right? So sometimes there might be people who are like early birds, like, and they might actually have their stuff there. So you can actually comment all week long, right? If there's something there to comment, right? But everybody should have theirs in by Wednesday. And then everyone should at least comment on 2 people, right? You don't have to wait till Thursday and Friday to do it, but depending on how busy people, there may not be anything in the forum for you to respond to. And this is a very important other key piece that you need to understand. And I'm looking at Sonia and Carlos, Maureen, and Greg, who know. I'm also it's really important to me that you actually come back to these quite often, right? This is a big piece of our learning, right? And I'm not going to forum you to death. I think I'm only going to do like maybe 2 or 3 in here, and I haven't quite switched them all over, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is some really good time for you to have some really good, rigorous, and robust conversations around these concepts, right? And so in order to do that, you actually have to come back to the forum. And so part of this rubric, you'll see that I asked that you reply to 2 colleagues, and that I asked you not to just say, that's a great, I want you to actually extend, apply, synthesize, challenge, probe their posts. And I want you to do that on 2 separate days. Here's what I'm trying to avoid, is, believe it or not, there are grad students that would go into the forum on Wednesday, would post their paste, and go reply to 2 people, and we'd never see them again. Like, that's just not going to happen, and I will find it, just so you know. So I go and I look and I make sure that you post on 2 separate days. So
does that include the Wednesday?
No, your original post. No, you can I'm talking about your replies, not your posts. You can post anytime up before and up to Wednesday.
I mean, you could post your original and reply.
Yes, yes, but then don't reply to any. I mean, you can reply to more people, right? I mean, you're not limited to just 2, right? Like, you can reply to more than 1 person on a day, but then you just have to come back and do that next one in order for it to count on 2 different days. Does that make sense? But I'm not trying to limit you to only 2 posts. I really wish you would do more than that, but I just want to make sure that you're at least coming in and revisiting the forum at least more than one time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know it's kind of archaic, but it's just something I need to have happen. We're all busy, and we always kind of go to the path of least resistance. I mean, I know if I didn't have that requirement, I would go and post on Wednesday and do my replies, and I'd be out. So okay. Any questions about that?
Verify, it's like by Wednesday means like 11:59.
No, yeah,
Wednesday,
midnight.
Friday.
Midnight, the night, like you have all day Wednesday. Okay. Not midnight on Tuesday. Okay. You have all the way until 11:59 on the Wednesday day.
Okay, and then Friday.
And then Friday as well. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. So that's just 1 week, right? So we're still in just Unit 1, and this is just what you do in 1 week. You're going to read, synthesize, write your post, and then you're going to post. And then what I like to do is I do this crazy thing where I actually make you apply what you've just learned. Okay? And so you'll find directions in week 2 of any unit where you're actually going to take what you've learned and you're going to do a couple of different things, but you're going to wind up using a Web 2.0 tool to do it. Okay? So this one's pretty easy. You're learning about learning theories, and because we kind of got to start there, kind of get us back to where we are, you know. And then I just want you to create a Voki, and you're going to create that Voki, and you're going to make a 1-minute recording about what, and you're going to answer some questions. You're going to answer some questions on your Voki, and then you're going to link that in a gallery, and then everybody's going to be able to see your links, and that's what I'm going to be looking for. Okay? The first one is not as clear to understand. I mean, it is clear. It's just not quite as connected, but let's just jump into Unit 2, and let me give you another idea. So again, overview, at a glance, your reading, your forum. So, but this week, we look at extraneous principles from Mayer. You'll understand what that means better in a couple weeks from now. So, but we really talk about it and we couch it around simulations, right? So we talk a lot about simulations, you do some reading, we talk about extraneous principles because simulations tend to be the one that's where they are mostly fraught of. And then what I have you do is I have you go and find a simulation like that you might use. Like, don't make it something you wouldn't use. You know, if it's something it's in your content area or it's something you might use, but you're going to go find a simulation, and then you're going to use a Padlet, which is just an online sticky board, and you're going to evaluate that simulation that you chose based on the principles that you just learned. So what I will get will be a Padlet with a link to the simulation and like 5 different little sticky notes that tell me how or how not that simulation actually applies or does not apply Mayer's principles. Okay, so you're going to apply your learning to a simulation and talk about it through Mayer. But here's the kicker. You ready? No, absolutely zero APA in this. I want to hear your actual language of how you translate Mayer. So I don't want any APA on your Voki or on your Padlet or on your Edpuzzle. I want lay language, because if you can tell it like you're telling a peer, then that means you know it. I don't want you quoting Mayer and quoting everybody else. I want you to say why this is or is not a Mayer principle. So that makes sense? I will revisit that later, I promise. But that tends to be confusing because I hit you over the head with APA in the forums, but I do not want it on your application exercises. I want you to talk about it in your own language because that means you've really internalized it as far as I'm concerned. Make sense? Questions or concerns? So no APA on your application activities. You will always turn these into a wiki. You will always turn all of your stuff. I don't take anything that doesn't have a digital URL. So if you're not using Google Docs and you don't know, then you need to get up to speed about what that means, how you make things public. Everything has to be public and usable. If you're going to go in here, you're going to edit this just like you would any other wiki. You're going to put your name, and then you're going to put your link. And that link, please, 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 please make sure that that's open. Have your husband, your daughter, your son, your neighbor, somebody check that link to make sure that it's open to the public so that I don't have to send you an email that says, could you please make your Voki public? Could you please make your Padlet public? Right? That's just, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of everybody else's time because the idea here is everybody should go and look at everybody else's. Is there any kind of replying or anything? No, but if I were you, why wouldn't you go and look at all these? One, there's a whole slew of simulations or games or all sorts of other stuff that other people have found. Why wouldn't you go check that out? You might find another simulation that you really love because you go and look at their work. Make sense? So it's the gallery. Again, let me just show you this really quickly. You know, what is a WYSIWYG? What you see is what you get. And now it's not going to let me. Oh, somebody else is editing right now. I'll wait. All right. Anyway, there is a way to hot link. Listen, Moodle sometimes hot links on its own, sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes you have to do that. Okay. So that is how the second week of a unit will be. It's your application week. The first week is kind of easy. You kind of just have to think about your own, what your best learning theory is, and then you're just going to articulate that in the Voki. Vokis record up to a minute. So if you can't fit it in 1 minute, then make 2. Like I've gotten that. Like I couldn't get one, then make another one. So if you have to use 2 Vokis, fine. But try to see if you can do it in a minute. If you can't, no worries. All right? Okay, so what I would recommend is that, like, during your orientation, what I might go do is go through every week and get a handle on what those tools are. Go ahead and sign up for them. Maybe start playing with them, because here's the thing I really think you want to avoid, actually absolutely you want to avoid. You have to give yourself time to play. You'll see that in most of my directions, the very first direction is play. And what I'm telling you is that when I play with a tool, I'm not worried about how I'm going to use it. I simply play with it. I cannot tell you how many Vialogs, Videolicious, Vokies that I've made for my husband so that I got that opportunity to play, but I wasn't pressured with the assignment. Because I'm telling you right now, if you go and try to scaffold your understanding for the tool while you're trying to apply and get my assignment done at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night, that's not going to happen. So take this time now and sign up for all the tools, start playing with all the tools so that when it comes time, you have the cognitive space to actually apply the lesson and not worry about the tool. And none of the tools I've asked you to use are very hard, but I'm just saying. So what I'm saying to you is that I would practice making at least one of each of these things that has nothing to do with this course and send it to your husband so you can test how to make it public, how does it work, how do I share it, where's the URL, all of those little things that you don't want to be panicking about at 11:59. Make sense? And again, they're not hard, and you might use them in your class. I don't know. They're kind of awesome. Okay, now, any questions about a regular week, a regular unit? Okay, so let's jump to Unit 4 really quickly, and I'm going to circle back to orientation, I promise. The only week that's a little bit weird is Week 4, Unit 4, I'm sorry, Week 7 and 8. Because I actually asked you to review your project. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into the minutia of the project right now because I think you'll just leave here with bigger eyes already. I don't want to scare you again. I don't want to terrify you. But basically, you are going to have a final project. You're basically going to be building a presentation that demonstrates your understanding of Mayor's principles, but it's going to be for your colleagues. So it's almost like you doing PD about Mayor's principles, for lack of a better way of saying it. How you do that, what that looks like, I don't care. It could be a video, it could be a Padlet, it could be a Google presentation. I do not care. It could be a Weebly. I don't care. I don't care what you make. Right? Whatever that PD, I do PD in Haiku, Edmodo, Wikispaces, Weebly, right? So platform makes no difference to me. And I've given you some ideas, some ideas down here. But I have a rubric, and it's really just two parts. The actual digital presentation itself, like what would you actually show to folks? And then you're going to write your narrative, right? You're going to tell me, what was the theory that you used to guide your thinking in this project? Maybe some of the directions. Are there any extra, guides that you would have to provide the learner that would all go into your narrative? Okay, so it's really two pieces. You're going to build a presentation, and you only have to select a couple of the principles. You don't have to do all 12. Don't panic. Just do the ones that mean the most to you. And you're going to write that up, kind of write up what was your rationale, who is this for, how would you do it, are there any additional directions or scaffolding that you would need to give participants? Is it going to be given in a face-to-face, or would it be a self-directed PD? Would it just be a link you'd send folks, or would you actually facilitate it? But anyway, you read all that. Let's not panic about that right now. We have plenty of time. There is the rubric right there. I'm a very rubric-y girl. So you want to be familiar with this rubric. And the reason that I bring up Unit 4 is because what will happen, and Keith, you're the one who asked this question, so I would look at this week. So if Unit 4 is the week of, it's going to actually be what? The week of what, the 12th through the 17th? Hold on one second. Let's see, if Unit 4 ends the 17th, so the week of the 13th through the 17th, I will have a meeting. That's what this means right here, and that to be determined means that that's why I asked you to bring your calendars, right? And I'm not going to I'll schedule these meetings, but what I really need to know is anybody taking night classes right now? What's a night that you are in class, so that I'll stay away from that night. But what I'll do is I'll offer it in 2 times. I'll usually offer it 2 times, right? I'll run the Google Hangout on Tuesday, and then I'll run it again on a Thursday. So you've got so Thursday's out. No worries. Oh no, Sonia, you don't count then.
Might be after 7, because I work till 7:30 pretty much.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Well, I usually offer a late one, and then I offer, okay. So let me just say what I cannot do. So no Monday? What did you say, Thursday? And some of you would prefer after 7:30. And would that help you then, Sonia? Right? Is your...
Till 9.
Oh, really? No, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to be my outlier. We'll figure it out. So I'm hearing maybe like a Tuesday. Ooh, I don't want to do Friday. Ooh. Oh, I guess a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
She said she's out at 7:10 on Thursday,
Yeah,
so it could
but
be
John
later
just
on
looked at
Thursday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, see, you're smarter than me. I don't do math. I don't see. That's why you're a project manager. You can see that matrix. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, but so what I'll do. Okay, so you said Monday through Wednesday. Thursday you're fine, and we're only out because of you. And then yours is an 8 o'clock. So it may be Thursday, but it would have to be like an 8:30 deal. And that might work out. I mean, listen, my 652 class. That's when we started our meetings. Like I have a meeting with them every other week. And in between soccer and kids and all that, I mean, it's my job to meet you where you are. And so, what I'm hearing is that I'll offer one on Thursday at 8:30. But I can only have 10 of you in there, 9 of you in there. So some of you are going to have to opt. Some of you are going to have to go to that one. And then I'll probably offer what do you think? Is 6 o'clock? I mean, I don't want to start too early, but I don't want to start too late. And I want to make sure so if I do a Thursday from 8:30, Wednesday 6:30, 6 o'clock.
I can do a late Thursday and it's on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay. No worries. So we'll figure that out, okay? But I'll send out like a Google form, and you'll pick which one. Then I'll ask if you're willing to switch, and then I have to figure it all out because I can only have 9 of you in at a time, right? That's why I have to do it twice. And I'm also trying to give up for every time so that everybody can have a shot. So I'll do my best. But just like anything else, well, what I will do is I will make a podcast. What I always do, right? What I do is I take notes during. But basically, you're gonna read the directions about the final project here, right? That's your job that week, and then you're gonna come to this Google Hangout with questions, right? I'm not gonna. That's it. I'm just here to. That's what the purpose of these are, right? So actually, if you have no questions, which I doubt, then you're fine. You don't have to come. I mean, these are optional, but my goal is to make sure you have that opportunity to ask me any questions, anything else, check in with you, and then what I do is I take my notes and I turn it into a podcast because I wind up having the same questions usually in both of them. So instead of sharing the recording, I just like culminate it together and put a podcast in. Okay, so either way, you'll get it. Okay, make sense? Okay, now, last couple things because I know I need to get you all out of here. Sorry about running so late. But traffic, right? I get like a 15-minute buffer, right? Okay. Okay. Let me circle back around to orientation. And I'm going to ask for some forgiveness. So like, I definitely want you to go looking through the course, but definitely I had so much trouble with Moodle today that I still have probably just a little bit more work to do in units 4, 5, and 6. So they may still say forum, but I'm probably going to switch some of them out, okay? I know for a fact that in Unit 3, I switched it to a flip grid. So let's talk about what the flip grid is. So let's first talk about orientation. Let's go to the thing you're going to do first. So these are your directions for getting to know each other. This is something you can do between now and Friday. You're going to follow these directions, right? And you are going to be putting this into a flip grid instead of an introduction. Oh, wait a second. I just want to see something because this doesn't look great. What is fall? Okay. So what will that look like? That's going to look like this. I'll have a link in there. So instead of forum, it'll say flip grid, right, on that landing page. And I'll put the link in the directions as well. And I'm just trying something new. So welcome. You guys are my design-based research. In the sense that I've never used this tool before. I like it, though. Basically, what it's going to make you do is you're going to put this big, what you see is what you get. Here are your questions, right? They're also in the directions, so don't worry. You're going to push this big, fat, green button, and it's going to walk you through a series of things. It's going to make you take a picture of yourself, which I ask that you do so that we can remember what your face looks like. And then you're going to make a 90-second video. And then they're all going to line up there. And that's it. And then you can go and look at each other's. Now, I wonder, I've been like torturing myself for a couple of days over this. Like, there's part of me, like, I was concerned because all you can do is really heart each other's. Like, you can say you like it. You can't really comment to each other. But in some ways, I'm like, I almost think that would be relieving. Like, you have to go back in the forum and be like, hi, I really, like, you just say your spiel. We get to look at each other, and then we're done. Right? Now, I am going to use this for some of the content, like for some of your weeks. So instead of a forum, you'll do this. So a couple of different things. I'm going to obviously, I'm going to take that bottom, like you still do by Wednesday, but you obviously can't reply to each other. And then I'm obviously going to take the APA piece out of it, right? So you only have 90 seconds. But I do want you to synthesize and connect to as much of the material as you can. If you need, again, if you need to make a second one, part 2, then just do that. It's okay. If you're on there twice, you're on there twice. If that's what you think you need to make sure you fulfill the rubric and get all your stuff out, that's fine. But I wanted to have an opportunity, listen, I've been doing this a long time, and I know you guys are sick to death of forums. I'm sick to death of forums, right? I mean, I like them. I think they have some benefit. I think they're good. But I definitely want to change it out this time. So don't get panicked when you see all the forums. Like, I'm going to switch a bunch of them out. So give me until at least, like, this weekend before you, like, I'm telling you that content will not be, like, don't go download every PDF. You know, like, don't go and do that to yourself. Like, give me until, like, Sunday, please, to just finalize all the content and make some of the couple of changes that I just didn't quite get to this morning. Is that fair? Okay, you can look at it. It's going to basically be the same stuff, but like, there might be some things I change out, and I'm definitely going to change out some of the forums. Okay? Carlos?
But you did say orientation.
Yes, orientation is ready to go, except for that I've obviously got to put the Flipgrid in. I mean, I don't know what's going on because I don't understand, because I know I wrote, unless I'm connecting to the wrong page here. I must be, because so don't do anything in orientation yet. Like, give me until after give me till tomorrow. Okay, don't go home and do orientation, because I know that I edited this with Flipgrid and all sorts of stuff, and it's not showing up. So I must have edited something else. Who knows? I have so much content. So, because I know I changed this, and I know I changed a bunch of stuff, and I'm not sure why it's not. And like, this should be changed, but like, I'm thinking that it's not, because this doesn't look like the document that I edited this morning. So let me fix that, right? So there's no, I mean, orientation, there's no grade. I'm not going to give you points for introducing yourself. Like, that's kind of crazy. So just do it. So any questions about Flipgrid? 90 seconds. You're always welcome to make more than one.
Located. Where will we find it?
Okay, so right here, I will change this to Flipgrid. Like, I should have done it, like, for example, let's see, you know, this is really making me feel like I'm kind of crazy, because I'm telling you I made all these edits. See there, boom, finally, Flipgrid, right? So when I change it, I will put the link here. Don't answer this one yet. Well, you can answer it, I guess, early. But see right here, I put the Flipgrid link in. So there's 2 ways to get to the Flipgrid, right? But I don't do that for the forum. The forum will just be the link on this landing page. It'll say forum or it'll say Flipgrid. That's it. I mean, that's basically the only 2 options it'll be. Okay? Questions or concerns? So overview, directions, forum or Flipgrid, activity directions, and where you turn it in. That's basically it, guys, in a nutshell. And you have a final project. And there's something else, but we'll talk about that later. But you'll see something in your syllabus that says hacked. If I'm going to do something called hacked, and if you don't know what that is, it means I'm going to kind of throw you a little curveball in the first month, just see who responds. But I'm not going to tip my hand about what that is. That's why it's called hacked.
There's no assignment section in the Moodle. It's just we will find each week's assignment under that unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do it. I mean, the only thing that are assignments are just really great placeholders for me. So you don't actually, so your question is, you don't actually turn anything in through Moodle to me, right? You're either going to write in a forum, make a Flipgrid, or you're going to turn in a URL for your activity in the gallery. Those are the only 2 ways you're ever going to give me anything. Everything you're going to give me is either forum, Flipgrid, or a URL that you paste into the gallery. Make sense? Okay. All right. I've done a lot of talking. You guys have been very patient. Questions? Seriously, anything. Like, is it too much? You got it? It'll make a lot more sense when you start going through it. And I promise you, you will get more feedback from me. You will be like, please, this woman, stop. You'll get written feedback. You'll get video feedback from me. You'll get all sorts of different feedback in all sorts of different ways. Yes?
Okay. Is the final project like the final, or is there an extra?
Oh, no. Yeah, there's no final in grad school. Yeah, no, there's no final. That is your final.
Okay.
And we do have a peer review. There will be an opportunity for peer review. Basically, you know, look, just so you know, look at this. Look at how beautiful I am to you. Look at this. Look. Oh, you don't do nothing this week. You're welcome. Right? Because you should be working on your final projects. I get that. Now, should I see copyright and fair use applied in your project? You better bound believe it. You better not put an image in there and you don't give me credit for it. Right? If you have something you're doing with gender, then make sure that's in there. So I don't make you do anything this week because I'm expecting that you would work. And the way I work it out is this. You get the week off, you get the week, get these kind of 2 weeks are kind of soft weeks, right? You can work on your project, you know, whatever, because you can choose to work on a group if you want. So that might be a good time for you guys to meet or whatever. Hopefully you've met before that, but Google Hangout, whatever. Then you come into the week right before Thanksgiving. And by that time, you need to have something to turn in to get peer reviewed. So if you did a Weebly, I need the link. If you did a PowerPoint or Google Slide, I need that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to have at least started your stuff. And then you're going to turn that stuff into the gallery before you go on Thanksgiving break. And you're off the whole week, regardless of what university calendar is. I mean, what am I going to do? Have you in my course for 2 days? So you have the whole week of Thanksgiving off. So you turn your stuff in to be peer reviewed. I would hope that some of you might have a little bit of time during Thanksgiving to pop in there and give some feedback to your peers. And then the final project is due by that next Wednesday. So, you know, you've got to have given your peer review so that people have Thanksgiving. Actually, no, I take it back. The week before, you have to turn your link in, and you have to peer review. Then you have Thanksgiving to tweak, and then the next week it's due that Wednesday. So you basically get a week and a half to tweak after peers look at it. Make sense? That's how I do it. So and then we get done early, because I like to be done early. I don't know about y'all. Questions or concerns?
Can you verify this is the right one?
Yep.
Can you repeat what you said about the email with you and Jessica? Did you say? Oh,
well, so what I said was, you're welcome to copy both of us, or if you just want to send it either one of us. But I said that when I'm out in the field, I will definitely put out a vacation, but it'll say learning and teaching in the field. That's just a signal to you that I'm not going to get your email today. And so if you got that message from me and you really needed something, then I would say then email Jessica. And what I'll do is try to stay on board with her and give her, I might share my calendar with you so that you can see, you know, when I'm out, when I'm going to be gone all day. That's what that meant. But you're welcome to email both of us, either one of us, but on days that you definitely need someone, and I'm obviously in the field, then definitely reach out to her. Make sense? All right. Any other final thoughts, comments, or concerns, guys? It's all awesome sauce. All right, let me look at my notes, make sure that I didn't forget anything. Oh, one last little thing I do want to tell you. It doesn't require you, when you guys hit this link, when I put that link in there, to come to our introduction Flipgrid. There's a couple different things that you need to know. First of all, I'm assuming all of you guys have webcams, right? Okay. If you don't, there is a Flipgrid app, because this does operate on Flash. So if you don't have Flash, and that's why I'm a little concerned about yours, right? If you don't have Flash, or it's not working, or you don't have a webcam, then you obviously can't do it from here. Then you have to get on the iPad to do it. So that's important. The other thing is there's no sign-in or anything required here. You're just going to come right here and you're going to add. But as soon as you go to add, it's going to recognize that you've never been here before, right? And you know that little pop-up window, you know, with the settings? Do you know what I'm talking about? It'll probably automatically pop this little button up, right? You get this little box and you got to say yes. You know, yes, I give my firstborn. Yes, here's a small part of my DNA. Anyway, you say allow, right? You allow your camera, your microphone. You say yes. The other thing, though, is obviously I'm a big Chrome browser. I really think Chrome is your best bet. But I just will tell you that what happens is that you'll click this allow, but just know in this, maybe it'll do it for me. Maybe it doesn't recognize me for some reason. No, it's not going to do it because I've already signed in. But just know that you will allow that little dialog box, but also up, if you're on Chrome, you'll get another little little gray bar that comes down and it says allow or deny. So I'm just saying there's going to be a 2-layered, it's okay. You have to do it with the settings dialog box, and then you've got to look, just try to remember to look up in that little, because it's very subtle, and you have to tell Chrome that it's okay. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right. Questions, concerns? You guys got this? I think you guys have it just fine. I'm not worried about it. Any final thoughts? Final questions? Nope. It's pretty straightforward. Read it, learn it, apply it. Read it, learn it, apply it. Read it, learn it, apply it, and then apply it really big. That's basically it. All right? My email, all of my stuff. I also do virtual office hours every Wednesday from 3:30 to 5:30. But like if you're on Skype or you have Google Hangouts and you see me online, just IM me first because I'm in meetings a lot. I will Skype with you, IM with you, Google Hangout with you anytime you need. If you need me to help you, show you anything, like I'm totally open to that. But just IM me first to make sure I'm not in a meeting or something.
Your Skype name is on...
It's on the syllabus. It's on the syllabus.
Okay.
And I'm just Lisa Herby in Raleigh. So you'd have to like send me, request a contact if you want to go Skype. But if you're a Google person, then you probably just do me through Google Chat, right? And then we would be set up to do Google Hangout and everything else. Oh, on that note, this is a good thing. Last thing, you don't have to do it now, and I'll remind you later. But if you don't have an active Google Plus account, you must get one. So either through your NC State email, and you have to get it straight. Like you have to make sure you know which one, because in order for you to participate in a Google Hangout, you must have an active Google Plus account. I can't invite you to the Google Hangout otherwise. And that'll be something I ask you when I send out the form for the Google Hangouts. I'll actually ask you for your Google Hangout or your Google Plus email, whatever account email that's attached to your active Google Plus. How you know that you're active? See this when I'm in my email or anything? You see this little plus Lisa right here? That tells me that I have a, sorry about that, splitter. This right here tells me that I have an active Google account. If it says plus you or it has nothing there, you have not activated your Google Plus. It's not automatic. It doesn't automatically get activated. Make sense? I cannot invite you to a Google Hangout until you have a plus up in your email. Okay? All right. Thank you guys for your patience. Sorry that took so long, but we have waited on some folks, so I appreciate your patience. I'm certainly, I don't know if anybody's still up for it, but I am still open to going by everybody online